What's going on, people? Welcome to another video. Now, not in my usual setting here. I'm currently on tour in the US. I'm in Miami right now, but next week, or actually this week, I'll be playing New York and Columbus, Ohio with Memba and Laini. And yeah, that's the end of the year for me. Now, this video is all about goal setting. Last year I did a vlog where I talked about my goals for 2023, and this video is essentially a follow-up on that, but I'm also going to be making goals for next year, 2024. So that's all this video is going to be about. Now, if you haven't watched the video where I talk about my goals from this year, you might want to watch that video before this one or not. But to start with, I think it's important to talk about goal setting. I think whether you are a beginner in terms of producing or being a music artist, or you are intermediate or advanced or whatever you want to call it, I think goal setting is very, very important to stay on track. It's something that I've always made use of. I've been goal setting way before I even had a management, just so I have something feasible and something to stick to whenever I feel like I'm getting off track or I feel like I don't really know where I'm going career-wise. Now, the goals that I mentioned in the 2023 goals video, 4 points. It is finances, grow socials, album, and touring. So those 4 goals. So let's just take them one by one, and then at the end we will get to the goals that I have set for next year. I really hope you guys find this useful, but I'm also putting this video out there for my own accountability, so I actually know that if I put this video on YouTube, I will be held accountable by all you guys watching, which is a great motivator for me. I urge you guys and encourage you guys to do the same. Have someone to keep you accountable of your goals, and there's a bigger chance that you actually might hit them. Okay, so let's dive into the first goal that I set last year, finances.
It's the poison, the flow so dangerous.
Keep earning, keep spending, and essentially that is what I did. Now, my spendings this year has been higher than ever, and that's because I had a US tour where I was gone for a long time, and that is something that I pay myself. And I have an album that is dropping next year that cost me a lot of money because I'm self-releasing it through a distributor. So I had to pay all the stuff myself up front. Now, this is probably going to be the point that I talk the most about, because finances is something that is always a swinging affair in being an independent artist. And I always have a pretty steady earnings, and my spendings are always varying a lot. So some years will be good, some years will be bad. Now, in terms of earnings, my year this year was a little bit lower than usual, but my spendings were also a lot higher. So overall, financially, it's been kind of a meh year. Not the best, but then again, all the money I earned, I invested back into myself, and I look at that as a big success. So to talk a little bit more specific about finances, because I know that's something that's not being talked about a lot in the industry. And if we look at this pie chart over here, you can see how it's broken down. So if we start with the red in the corner, the commissions are for my management and my lawyer team that get a percentage of everything I earn. So that is a big part of the expenses every year. And that's just something that's steady. 25% is my album. I spend probably between 20 and 30,000 euros on the album. And that is everything from marketing campaigns, ad spending, mastering, artwork. I spent almost 10,000 on videos for the album. But yeah, a lot of spendings this year. The other tab is basically subscriptions, software, Photoshop bundles, Dropbox, iCloud, all that stuff. So you can pause if you want to see a detailed breakdown of all my subscriptions. And the 25% touring is essentially all the hotels, the flights, the touring. 25% is essentially all the hotels, the flights, the videographers, the merch sellers, all that stuff. Touring is very, very expensive, especially when you're far from home. Everything costs a lot, especially the flights. That's been a big expense as well. But yeah, the finances has been pretty all right this year, even though I did spend quite a lot more than I anticipated. But it is what it is. You gotta keep spending to keep growing. All right, next one I talked about in the video was growing my social media. Is my time best spent doing a lot of social media content for TikTok, Shorts, Reels, all that stuff? And yeah, I can pretty much say that I did that. This year was insane in terms of social media growth. Now, what I sat down and did a strategy where I essentially post vertical content only. And I did a series on Instagram Reels and TikTok and YouTube Shorts, doing a remix series called What I did a 5 favorite sounds where I highlight other producers' sounds in electronic music.
5 favorite sounds!
And then I did a series called Making a Track from One Instrument, where I essentially show my creative production skills by making a track out of one instrument. Making a track from one instrument today, the Flexotone. And yeah, those series all blew up, and I grew my Instagram from like 25K to 156K, which is currently sitting at. And I grew my TikTok from 2,000 to 45,000, which it is currently sitting at. So I'm super proud of that growth. It was really a big point for me this year to grow my social media before the album dropped. And to be honest, I'm very proud of the effort I put in. And I ended up spending a lot of time on social media. But to be honest, I think it might end up being worth it. Now, obviously, when you grow your socials as much as I do, it doesn't really convert to streams. It's not like, oh, I all of a sudden have 100,000 more followers or 150 more. It's not like I'm gonna get 150 more monthly listeners at all. It is what it is. Next point I talked about in the video was my album. But I'm thinking of doing an album. I've never done an album and I really want to do a big cohesive work. Basically, I finished the album earlier this year. I think it was in like March or something, but the process of signing your album to a distributor or a label took like half a year. It was so tedious. To be honest, I'm kind of bummed that it took so long. But yeah, the album is postponed until early next year. I've already dropped 4 singles from it. The 5th single is coming on January 12th. And then the album is dropping in February. So yeah, postponed, but I'd say that that goal is still fulfilled since I managed to finish an album, and yeah, it's 16 tracks, so I'm pretty proud of that. Next one is the point that I probably feel like I didn't manage to fulfill the most. So this is touring. My weakest point is that I'm not touring as much as the other DJs in my scene. Now, I did play a lot of shows in the US this year. When I say a lot, it's probably between 15 and 20 shows. But the ones where I headlined myself, I did not sell out. But what I found out is that I simply don't have a touring name in the US, meaning I can't really sell the amount of tickets that I would have hoped. Meaning that I also am not gonna take a lot of chances next year with playing my own headline shows in the US. Because from the research we've done in the shows I've done this year myself, I simply can't sell enough tickets, which is something that, to be honest, was a tough pill to swallow for me at the beginning. But now I'm pretty aware of that, and I'm trying to sit down with my management team and my booking agency and kind of figure out a way that we can do that. Because yeah, the streaming is good, the social media stats are good, but the touring aspect, that's selling tickets to live shows, not so much. So that's a point that I really, really have to work on. And that, if you analyze Fabian Masur as a brand or as a business, that is definitely my weakest point. All right, so with all those 4 points from the old video out of the way, let's talk about next year, 2024. Now I have 4 points written down here. First, finances. Now my goal for the 2024 year is essentially to keep the finances more or less the same. Keep spending, keep taking chances, but spend a little less. Because this year, I spent so much money in the company that I almost didn't have money enough to pay rent. So I really have to find a better balance next year. And to be honest, I won't have the album expenses next year, and that's already a big help. So financially, I'm still gonna keep it more or less the same, but try to really minimize spendings that are not necessary. So that's the goal for finances next year, pretty straightforward. Now, next one, social media. Now, this year I grew so much on social media and spent so much time that I now know what it takes to grow social media. And I'm not gonna do it as much next year because I really wanna focus on the music. But to be honest, I think I spent the same amount of time making videos this year that I did making music, and that's not how I want it to be. So I'm gonna slow down a little bit on all the series, on the social media content, but I'm still gonna keep it up there, of course. I still wanna grow the social media stuff. So that's my goal for social media for next year. Keep it up, keep the series up, but in a smaller scale than what I've done this year. Now, point number 3, music. Stoked to drop the album. It'll hopefully brand me more as an album artist, as like a real artist. And I'm really looking forward to see what kind of impact that album will do for my career. Now, besides that, I'm just gonna be making a lot of music. Sample packs, preset packs, Element Store stuff. We have a bunch of other artists releasing on Element Store as well. And I'm very, very excited to see where I can go with that when I put more time in it. I also have a secret artist project, which is actually a duo with another guy that I can't really say much about, but yeah, you'll see when the time is right. It's definitely something that you might have seen coming. If you know, you know. Yeah, super excited to tell you guys more about that later. Fourth point is touring. What I'm thinking right now is to not put as much energy into touring as I did this year. I was gone, I think, 3 months out of the 12 months this year, which is good. I tried to build a touring name and it didn't necessarily succeed as much as I want to. But with that being said, 3 months out of a year is a lot of time to take out. I could have been making other stuff in those 3 months that would have been more beneficial for my career. But then again, if you never take the chance, you never know. So I'm still happy I went touring. A thought I've had is maybe go touring in other areas. I don't have a European booking agent. I don't have any booking agent in Asia either. Those areas could be interesting to seek out. I know there's been a lot of interest in having me over there playing shows or down there in Europe. So maybe something like that could be worth looking into. But yeah, that's the goal for touring. Touring less, perhaps in other regions of the world. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the goals I have for next year. Super excited to see how it goes. This music industry is always weird. You never really know what's gonna happen. But yeah, I really hope you guys gain something from this. I hope you can take some of these points, some of these ratios, spendings, all that stuff, and kind of get something from it, implement it into your own career, take notes of where I fail, take notes of where I succeed, and what I've been doing on social media, for example. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to let me know down in the comments. I'm happy to answer whatever. And I now also have a Discord server for the community that you can find down in the links below. We have like 200 something people on there, very active, feedback server, all that stuff. Definitely go check that out. And yeah, super excited to show you the album, and yeah, I'm super excited for next year, to be honest. Thank you guys for being a part of this. I really, really appreciate you all. Peace.
Baby, I'm a son on the beat.